send a text message to your partner. A moment later, the little red receipt pops up beneath it. 5 minutes pass, then 10 minutes, then an hour. No reply. Notice what happens in your chest right now. A tight, sinking feeling of dread sets in. You haven't actually received any bad news, yet your body is reacting as if you have. Take a look at this flowchart representing the core rule of cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. We assume that an outside event directly causes our emotion, but CBT shows us there is a hidden step in between. We react to our internal thoughts about the event. Your partner's silence didn't cause anxiety. Your thought that they're angry caused it. Sometimes this middle node breaks down into cognitive distortions, automatic, inaccurate filters that warp reality. They hijack the normal reaction, turning neutral events into corrupted emotions, driving destructive behavior. Because these thinking errors happen automatically, they are practically invisible. To regain control, you have to learn how to catch them in the act. Let's test how you process information across 3 major areas of your daily life. Let's start in a high-pressure environment. Think of a busy IT park in Chennai or a fiercely competitive college campus. The stakes are high, and the pressure to perform is constant. In this environment, a student might get a 90% on a major presentation. Instead of celebrating the A, they fixate exclusively on the 2 minor mistakes they made, concluding that they are a total failure. That is a combination of all-or-nothing thinking, seeing 0 middle ground, and a mental filter, where the brain blocks out 9 positive details to obsess over 1 negative detail. Over in the office, a worker gets a meeting invite from their boss with no subject line. Instantly, they assume they are getting fired. This is catastrophizing. They bypass all the highly probable, routine explanations and immediately expect the absolute worst-case scenario. Then there is the young professional staring at their bank account, feeling worthless because they should be making 6 figures by this specific age. These are called should statements. By attaching unrealistic, arbitrary timelines to their goals, they generate immense guilt instead of motivation. Let's test this out. A student makes a minor math mistake and immediately thinks, "I am a complete idiot." Which distortion is this? The correct answer is B, labeling. Taking a specific mistake and attaching a harsh, global label to your entire identity. A balanced response here means acknowledging the careless error, knowing it doesn't define your overall intelligence. Left unchecked, these specific distortions lead to academic and professional burnout. They convince the brain that minor setbacks are actually career-defining disasters. Now, let's step away from the office and into a bustling family home in Coimbatore. Here, the emotional weight shifts from performance metrics to interpersonal dynamics. Remember that unanswered text message from earlier? Assuming your partner hates you because they haven't replied is a classic case of mind reading. You jump to a negative conclusion about someone else's intent without a shred of actual evidence. Parents often fall into a trap called personalization. If a child gets a poor grade on a test, the parent internalizes 100% of the blame, thinking, "I am a terrible parent." They take crushing responsibility for external events they have limited control over. Let's look at another scenario on screen. A spouse comes home to find their partner forgot to fold the laundry. They spend the rest of the night sulking, claiming their partner ruined the entire evening. Which distortion is happening here? That is B, blaming. It is the exact opposite of personalization. While it is perfectly valid to be annoyed about the chores, holding another person entirely responsible for your emotional pain is a cognitive trap. Healthy relationships require a firm line between what others do and how we react. Resolving conflict means separating external actions from internal emotional regulation. Finally, we enter the digital sphere. When you scroll through a social media feed, your brain is forced into a state of constant, relentless psychological comparison. Let's say you ask someone out on Instagram and they politely decline. If you decide that you are entirely unlovable and will be single forever, you are engaging in overgeneralization. You are taking one isolated negative event and projecting it into an unending pattern of defeat. Or maybe you get invited to a social gathering and you tell yourself, "I know I'm going to be awkward and hate it." That is fortune telling. By predicting the future negatively, you practically guarantee a miserable time before you even walk through the door. Time for one last test on screen. You are looking at a friend's pristine vacation photos. You feel a sudden rush of inadequacy and conclude, I feel like a loser, so I must actually be one. What is the distortion? The answer is A, emotional reasoning. This is the false belief that because you feel a certain way, it must be an objective truth. The balanced reality is that feelings are temporary biological reactions, not facts. The highly curated nature of the digital world hyper-accelerates these traps. Navigating social media safely demands strict boundaries between feelings and what is actually true. Identifying these 10 traps is the first step. The second is dismantling them. To do that, CBT practitioners use a framework created by Dr. David Burns called the triple column technique. This is a diagram of the triple column technique. When a stressful thought hits, you write it down in the first column. I am an idiot for making this math mistake. In the second column, you label the specific thinking error, labeling. Finally, in the third column, you actively draft a factual response. I made a careless error, but I am a capable student, and I will check my work next time. The objective of CBT isn't to permanently erase negative thoughts from your brain. That is impossible. The goal is to catch the distortion in real time, short-circuiting the negative emotion before it dictates your behavior. External events will always happen, but by auditing your internal thoughts and correcting these invisible errors, you reclaim direct control over your own reality.